Welcome back to Media7, the SPADA special, where we're talking about the near future of screen and what will remain with Des Monaghan, Chris Adams and Jeff Latch. And now for something completely different.
For 3 years, you YouTubers have been ripping us off, taking tens of thousands of our videos and putting them up on YouTube.
We all thought, well, what can we do?
We decided we have to go to war.
We know who you are.
Who are they again? What are their names?
We know where you live.
And somebody might get hurt.
We could come after you in ways too horrible to mention.
Our lawyers suddenly said, well, actually, we have, one last throw is to say we're going to go to court whatever happens.
But being the extraordinarily nice chaps we are, we figured out a better way to get our own back.
Like how?
It's time for us to take matters into our own hands.
What the is this all about?
By launching our very own Monty Python channel on YouTube.
Really?
Wow, fabulous. Great idea. Fantastic.
No more of those crap quality videos you've been posting. We're giving you the real thing. High quality videos delivered straight from our Monty Python vault. We want you to click on the links and buy our movies and TV shows.
Now I get it.
Only this will soften our pain and disgust at being ripped off all these years.
What a relief. Oh, God. Fine by me.
Have the shows.
The Monty Python channel on YouTube.
And that clip went up recently for the channel launch, and just like the kids do, I grabbed it straight off YouTube. Chris, smart move?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
They did it nicely, didn't they? They got the tone right.
Yeah, they absolutely got the time right. They also, were able to, in a very funny and in a very real way, step out in front of what I think a lot of people are dealing with is, okay, I'm a large media organization. I know it's happening. I can sue them. Well, Google can sue you back. And I think that just creates a lot of chaos, and it creates a lot of bad blood. And look, they just stepped forward and said, listen, we'll put it up there, people will buy it, because a whole new generation of people who are on YouTube, whose parents watched, Monty Python, now they can get excited about it, they can buy it, and they have a whole new audience.
And where's the revenue? The revenue is hopefully flow-on DVD sales. Yeah. And perhaps the advertising that appears alongside it, or pre-roll.
Well, I think that's been one of the perennial problems with YouTube, is that, you have that. Most video on YouTube is most of the UGC stuff is fine, and a lot of it is trailers and music videos and trying to get you to go to some other site. But there's always that cat fart video, And if you're Coca-Cola or you're Nike, you're just not going to advertise because you might get that offensive video. Now you're creating a channel where all the content is kind of pre-approved. We know what we're getting, and now brands can lean into it. I think it's brilliant.
And there's also another attempt at this called Hulu, which we can't view from New Zealand, and we might talk about that subsequently. That's two of the big US. Is it NBC and Fox?
NBC and Fox, yeah.
They're doing that. Yeah. And they're streaming programs themselves with advertising built in.
Mm-hmm.
Has the success of that changed things? Because it has been a success, hasn't it?
Not only has it been a success, I think that it's just validated a lot of people's thoughts. I mean, if we look at, the Internet 1.0, there were 164 sites on the Internet, auction sites, before eBay came up. There were lots of e-commerce sites. There were lots of portals. There were lots of search engines. There was one winner. I think right now, the Hulus and the Crackles and the Juiceds and the Veos of the world, there's kind of a war going on in the best possible way. We're looking for the best brand to come up with the best technology, with the best monetization and the best security. And then I think that the studios and the networks will lean into it. And right now, Hulu's winning.
Now, Des, one interesting thing about what the Pythons did there is that's a relationship between the program producers and the copyright owners and the audience. There's no broadcaster in the middle there. Do you think we will see more of that in future?
I think so, but remember that relationship was spawned with a broadcaster. And I think at the end of the day, we still need that community experience. And that's why I believe that free-to-air has a very healthy future. I think it's an evolving future, but I think it will be very, very healthy. Because we do like to share these experiences. We like to talk about them afterwards. And I think that you create these niche markets many times by starting with the mass market. Conversely, obviously, you also go the other way, but niche to mass. But I think as a generality, free-to-air will be as strong in 20 years as it is today. And so you're all invited to come back and contradict me.
Jeff, how do you deal with that as a broadcaster? If suddenly it looks like you're the middleman and you're being cut out, and something like Hulu starts to broadcast directly to people all around the world, where is your role?
Well, I think the broadcaster's role is going to be critical going forward, and I think we've got a network of partnerships and relationships in place with local international production companies and also with a raft of other consumers. And to me, the market is evolving and it's developing, and yes, there's going to be new streams developing for people to talk to one another, I guess, and that will continue. But television, I think, going forward will continue to be really strong. And an example of that is the Olympics. I mean, we had 550,000 hours of content downloaded during the Olympic Games, but we still had incredibly strong ratings. And so I think the two different media can actually work really well together, and we're going to see more of that in the future.
Well, I think there was one point where I had my laptop open and I was watching coverage as well. For this to go forward, do you need the advertising industry to get a grip on what's going on as well? Because, I mean, the percentage of the total advertising market made up by internet advertising in New Zealand has risen, but it's still only 5.8%. I get the impression that industry needs to catch up for everyone's sake.
Yeah, and we're getting significant growth in online at the moment. Yeah, and I think for the whole industry, we're delighted now with the speed at which it's going, speaking on behalf of broadcasters. And I think we've got ambitious plans, if I talk to TVNZ in particular, in terms of getting growth in terms of online advertising. But very much that's done in conjunction with our core broadcast business. And I think there's a real opportunity to develop that further.
Do you think you're still going... I mean, this is a question for all of you. Are there still going to be mass audiences for broadcast or for any kind of screen production? The way things are splitting up into niches, the danger would be, I presume, that there are no mass audiences and advertisers like those.
Well, if I can answer that first, I think absolutely there will still be mass audiences. And they're becoming more valuable. Yeah, and so one of the things you've seen globally is that as there is greater fragmentation across media, the fact that broadcast television can deliver still the largest audiences is actually immensely valuable, and advertisers will pay extra premiums to actually obtain that.
I would completely agree, and I think that you make a very good point about the Olympics, or, I mean, we just had the presidential elections in the States, and what was amazing is like you, I had the speeches going on and I had the debates going on, and then election night, I was watching it on my big screen TV. I also had my laptop, which had streaming from various sites, but I also was on Facebook, and I was watching live feeds of people at Obama's speech with their cell phone cams. And what it really was is that the TV was the main point of focus. I mean, if you have Anderson Cooper reporting on Obama winning, well, that's real celebrity, and that's really incredible because he's an amazing figure. But you also want to know what your friends are doing. You also want to be there in the moment. And I think that television delivers incredible events and incredible content, incredible marquee shows.
I mean, we also have this other phenomenon now of particularly noteworthy moments of television going up onto YouTube.
Absolutely.
And that actually defines which bits are important. They're the ones that the audience chooses.
Well, it's the concept of citizen journalism and citizen advocacy. And then if you get down off of that kind of high horse, it's ego casting. And oftentimes your friends or your community is going to decide or even influence what's really important. And the great thing is television can pick up on that very quickly and then get it out to a mass community.
Des, is the matter now for producers of it's no longer produce it for television, then walk away, hope you can license it on to someone else. You have to, from the beginning, look at multiple opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. But let's get too carried away. It's the initial and most important relationship is with the commissioning broadcaster, because not only is that crucially important in terms of the funding of the show, but it's also hugely important in legitimising the proposition that you're taking to the other delivery systems, because they want to know and are more excited about it if you're anchored with a major broadcaster to start with.
Jeff, is public funding going to be even more important in the next few difficult years? Because that is the one kind of funding that's not directly impacted by the market.
Yes, it is. It's going to be critical going forward. Yeah, and I think as a New Zealand's public broadcaster, we see it as absolutely important for this market and this industry going forward. And I think everyone in this room would agree.
Chris, you don't have publicly funded broadcasting in the US.
Well,
and it seems that a lot of the flagship programs, the ones that are screening on free-to-air here, are being made for the likes of HBO. Is there going to be a point where that kind of programming stops being made for free-to-air TV?
Oh, I don't think so. Right when you think that there can never be another Sopranos, there's The Wire, there's The Tudors, there's something that is made by an extraordinary filmmaker, incredibly produced, that ends up having a lifespan across all the platforms. So I don't think there's any danger in that. I mean, good stories well told by great storytellers have life.
That's an optimistic note. And now we have talked a lot about hard times ahead, but the theme of this year's SPADA conference is actually celebrating success. So in our last clip, Simon Pound reports on a SPADA success story that has been all about thinking different.
Hi everybody, I'm Phil Simmons. This is Pai Kakariki, Centre of the Universe, and I'd like to introduce you to some of my friends.
This cast of characters comes from Phil Simmons' alternate universe, a place he has created with documation. It's a unique process that blends live action and animation, like here on his latest, The Making of The Volunteers. Documation starts with the audio of real conversations from real people in real stories.
The spontaneity of it is a really important aspect to me. I want to capture those kind of moments when people are kind of firing. It's really hard to replicate that.
From the audio recordings, Phil and illustrator Gina Keel then set about making the animated portions, like this.
We'll take screen captures and then I'll fire those to Gina. She'll do the drawings. And then they go into the scanner, coloured on the computer, and then we do any other movements, whether it's hand movements or blinks, eye movements. And then we take those into an animation program and we just synchronise it with the audio.
Easy. Gina is a local and has known Evil Uncle Phil all her life.
The great thing about animation is the possibilities are endless and you can do anything with anyone.
The local is important to Phil.
We'll take the camera out and film local people. We're very focused on Kapiti here, because my kind of feeling is that if you want the really great stories, they're happening all around us all the time.
The Simmons brothers also do films, like Noise Control, about the killing of a local rooster.
Well, I'm definitely sick of drawing roosters. Yeah.
The film has had international success, recently playing at the Chicago International Children's Film Fest. And the Simmons brothers have also had local success. In 2006, they won the SPADA New Filmmaker of the Year, recognition for the way they take everyday events and voices and find a bit of magic.
He says that's the beauty in New Zealand comedies, that you've got to get so ordinary until it becomes extraordinary. And then you've got this great genius comedy.
As for what's next, there is an exciting secret feature-length project in the pipeline. But for now, there is the Kapiti Coast, full of stories to keep them going.
And on that happy note, it's time for us to go. Thanks to our panellists, Des Monaghan, Chris Adams and Jeff Latch, and to our audience, both here in the TVNZ atrium and at home. We'll be back next week with the last of our regular shows and a peek at the Media7 summer season. Until then, goodbye.